Hey guys, what's up? Man, thanks for watching, and man, you guys have been so cool to give me some thoughts and ideas in the comments section to let us know kind of what your maybe some of your ideas for what you want to learn from this channel or hear from this channel or what you'd like to get out of this. I love teaching and coaching and working through this stuff with you guys. It's something I've always been passionate about. And one thing you asked about was guitar parts, and this is like my favorite topic. Well, besides gear, right? We all love talking about gear and tones and pedals and amps and all that fun stuff. But man, guitar parts is such a fun topic. And you guys had mentioned, I think one of you guys is like, can you talk through maybe your approach to writing guitar parts or coming up with parts? So one thing I love to do is at least start with like, okay, today we'll be in the key of G. Yeah, so we're in the key of G. So my kind of initial thought, if I'm not, it's just like a starting point, is just to start with the root note. So your root note is that G, right? And a good place to start writing parts typically with guitars is kind of up in this area right here. This is like where we like to live, right, for lead guitar parts. Obviously, there's great riffs that are down here and ones that are up here. But kind of a lot of the time, you're kind of living in this space. And so maybe the B string is a spot we would start right here. So that's the 8th fret on the B string. And that's a G note. So I might start there, and then I would start kind of feeling out like where to move that note, like when to move that note. What's the tempo? What's the emotion of the song? And how do we go about, playing around with that? So the first thing I would do would be just to start with the G. Start with the G note. And then we'll see where we go from there. But that's a good starting spot because that's the key you're in. And then you can just start kind of floating around with different rhythms and different melodies from there. So if you're in the key of G, so let's just listen to this. If I'm in G, I might just start with the note G. So like I would start there, and then I would just start playing around with like, how do I move that around? Maybe usually I'm thinking through things that kind of float in and out of 2 and 3 note kind of patterns. So like I mean, not always, but like maybe you would start with G and then slide up to the B, which would be the 3 in the song. So so you'd slide up to that 3rd, and that might be like a first thing I would try. So like maybe I would add a little bit of delay. So like there's our tempo. So I might go. And then oftentimes when I'm working on a part like that, I kind of want the second half to maybe feel different. So I might add a note or fall out of it in a different way, or add a little piece of something. So I know this is not a real song. This is just an example. But like you could go. So it could be like that, like ba-da. And then sometimes it'd be nice to like fall off the lick back to the 1, or maybe you want to let something hang over. The 1 being the root of the song. In this case, that's our G. So yeah, so that's just an example of like something you could do, just playing like a quick little melody thing on the B string. The B string is always a good starting point for guitar players in this kind of music where you're playing like a lead line, maybe in like a worship song or something, and that's because it's kind of like sometimes the lower notes might get lost a little bit in the mix, and if it's too high up here, like, you know, that might be too much. So like sometimes the B string in this little area right here is just a good starting point if you're just trying to find like what's going to speak. Another thing you could do in this same kind of area of playing is add in another note with it. So you could play like G and then the open G. I'm going to tune it. So like you could play and just pedal. So without the delay, I'm just literally going. Does that make sense? So it's like you're playing a melody on the B string, but the G string is just kind of ringing out. So it'd be like. So that's another example of a way that you could play a lead part would be to just add in your G string along with it, just kind of pedal. And then the other thing you could do is play, play like different rhythms on the B string. So instead of playing like quarter notes, you could double it up with eighth notes. And a lot of times the eighth notes is a good trick for guitar players, just creating some energy and some drive. You're like. Oftentimes on the end of a lead line like that, I'll slide back to the root. You want to fall onto a note that's going to sound good with whatever vocals coming in. So if they're about to start a verse melody or a bridge melody or something, you want whatever if you've got delays and stuff on, you want all that stuff to kind of trail out in a pleasant way that makes sense with what the vocal's doing. So always something to think about. Like usually if I'm in rehearsals or learning a song, especially if there's like a part that's going to land into a new section, I'm always thinking through like what pedals are going to be on and how am I going to get out of that. And you don't always want to be like, you may not always want to end right on the one. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll slide into the one before the measure's over, like coming out of that, like a pattern like that, I might be like, and say that's the one right there. So like you might end before the downbeat of the next bar, and that would give you a chance for your stuff to kind of trail over, like your delays and reverbs, without it sounding too like you just put a little bow on everything. You don't want it to sound too much like oh, and here's the end of the part. Sometimes it's nice to feel like it just kind of fell out and there's all this stuff kind of trails that are kind of like tumbling into the next section, and sometimes that makes it feel a little more organic and a little less like planned out or something. So that's just a little tip on that part. But yeah, this is just B string stuff. You can always slide. You can slide from here, the root. You can slide from the root all the way up to the 5, and that's a nice spot to live too. So if you're like here, and then maybe you're up here, So there's a lot that you can do with just the B string, and then adding in the G string is, of course, another way to get those notes in, like we were talking about pedaling. So the other way you could do that is play it in reverse. So instead of, you could play 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're playing like you're playing on the up, like the and of those eighth notes. So like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's a little tricky if you haven't done it. The simpler way is to make the downbeat, the eighth note, downbeats to be on the B string, and then your up note, your upbeat, the and, 1 and 2 and, be on the G string. So that's an easy one. And if you literally feel like this is too tricky, moving all over the place, you could just stay in one little spot. Maybe just put some verb on there. Check this out. So you can play like. So like that's a pretty little melody, and you only had to move, you only need one string. You could literally use the same finger if you wanted. And all I'm doing is just pedaling the B and the G string. And that's just with a little verb on, and no drives or anything. That's just, clean amp sound, and you've got a whole lead melody thing. Now obviously maybe that's more of like a softer part, but you could build that, you could build that same part. So that feels like a whole figure, that right there. And maybe that's like, that kind of sounds a little bit hymnish, like maybe like a hymn kind of song. But just finding those little parts in your keys, that's all in the key of G. And all we've only touched 2 strings, and we've got all these different options. You could play around with, once you know your scale, in your like chromatic scale here, your major scale here in G. That's all I'm playing with, And so you've got so much that you can do just with that. And I've played entire songs, many songs, where I'm playing all my melodies on that B string, and my energy is coming from the rub between the B string and the G string. So there's just all that. It kind of thickens it up if you play. Just adding that G string just adds a little bit of thickness to the sound, as opposed to verses. And you can make that you can really dig in and make that feel intense. And it's a fun way to get some kind of lead parts and stuff. The other thing you can do is just play the B string and the G string at the same time and get those same shapes. Does that make sense? So, if you add in like a little bit of overdrive or a little bit of dirt or something. So that's a fun way to kind of get a lot of energy, and you can move around just with your G and your B strings. So I figured I would just kind of run through this is kind of just one approach to a lead guitar thing. Obviously this is only in the key of G, But we'll keep moving. We'll do some more videos on other keys and other ways to approach a lead guitar and other keys. But just a very simple kind of start here kind of place would be start on that root note of the key of G if that's the key you're in, and then just start moving those around. And this is applicable to A flat, A, B flat. You can do all those same tricks. You just capo and you just move your you move your shapes around. So maybe we should do a whole capo episode. But yes, so yeah, there's a whole little there's a whole world of exploring just with the B string and the G string. So yeah, today we were using the obviously a Tele. This is going through this AC30 here. Cabs are here in this aux box. It's just a Royer 121 and a 57 on the cab. It's that if you're familiar with the aux box, it's their like AC30 cabinet. Anyway, I just wanted you to hear something different. AC30 into the aux, and then the delay and reverb are the Memory Man and the RV5 with a little bit of RC booster in there, and I think full drive we used maybe. I know it's not a rig rundown video, but I wanted you to know what we were using. Yeah, so G shapes, lead parts, it's a simple place to start. Please in the comments let me know what's helpful and how it can help you guys, serve you guys. If there's more you want to know about lead parts, let's talk about it. We can go through different shapes, like maybe different keys of different lead ideas for different keys. But I just wanted to start the conversation somewhere, and I felt like G shapes was the perfect place to start. So yes, thank you for watching, and yeah, please let me know down below, and I'll keep maybe going through some more ideas that you guys have. All right, thanks for watching.